Hello and welcome to this video series in which we're going to build an AI Saas from scratch. And the end goal is to have SaaS applications where a user can register, they can buy credits, and then with these credits they can find potential leads on LinkedIn, like their LinkedIn profiles, and also generate cold message or even a cold message sequence to contact them. I haven't planned much out. I have a rough idea in my head, and let's just get started and see where it goes. In this video, I will probably start out, make the basic setup, explain the technologies and the idea behind them, why we'll use them. And then afterwards, in probably the next video, we're going to test out the AI stuff, see how we can hook everything together, how we get that working. Then we have to build an auth system so the user can register, and we have to integrate Stripe and set up some kind of token system so the user can buy tokens or coins or whatever to spend on these searches. So these will be the technologies I will be using. I think it's a pretty cool stack. I call it the THC stack, and it consists of the following things. So first we're going to use TypeScript. That's the T. Then the H is going to be Hono. Hono is a server framework similar to Elysia, but I've worked a little bit with it and I really enjoy it. I think it's very powerful, and it has another benefit we're going to see in a second. So that's the H in the THC. Then there's another H. This is HTMX. Yeah, I'm sure you heard about it. It had a lot of hype. And then the C in THC will be Cloudflare workers. So we're going to deploy everything on Cloudflare workers. And Cloudflare has some really cool technology. These workers are pretty cool. They're distributed over the edge network. So you have low latency, like wherever in the world. It's a cool way to build serverless applications. And the workers will include our backend infrastructure and also the database. It's a pretty cool technology. You should definitely check it out. And also I'm a little, let's say, bored from Next.js and all that stuff. So let's get spicy and do things a little different. And for this project, I think it's a pretty cool stack. Also, why we're using Hono is because it's lightweight and it's supported by the Cloudflare workers, by the Edge network. Not every NPM package runs in the Cloudflare workers, but Hono does, and it's also, has very nice developer experience, so good candidate. And then lastly, I think I'm gonna use Grok for the AI, but let's see that. Maybe we can even go super hardcore and fine-tune our own models, because Cloudflare workers also have AI. I don't see it on the page, but they have a way to update your LoRa adapters for certain models, so that's also very cool. I don't know if we're going to do it this time, but maybe in the next micro SaaS we're building, we're going to use it. Okay, and then for authentication, I also haven't decided yet. Either it's going to be an one-time passkey thing where you just put in your email address and it mails it to you, or the alternative is just to use Google OAuth. I already made a tutorial for it and almost everybody's using Google. Also, it's cool because a lot of companies are using Google Suite, so you could even build something where you can buy credits for your organization and then everybody from the same organization has access to these credits. Or let's just jump into it and figure stuff out as we go. Also, like I said, I don't made a big plan. I know the technologies that we're using, but we're kind of figuring everything out. I think the way I'm going to do it is just going to build it, then I'm going to explain what I did, maybe even speed up the typing process so it's not so boring for you to watch. And then explain everything. And I would invite you to maybe also code along. I think that's the best way to actually understand these concepts. And if you have any other idea or suggestions how I could make this better, leave them in the comments and be happy to hear your feedback. To start, we're just going to check out the Hono documentation. And and one thing I forgot, sorry. We're also going to use the Hono workers, I think it's called D1 database, and it's a SQLite database. And then we're going to use Drizzle to like a wrapper around the database. And also Drizzle has support for these Cloudflare. Drizzle supports it out of the box, so that's pretty cool. But let's get started with Hono. And as you can see here, it already says Cloudflare workers. And let's use bun. I've used it a lot and I enjoy it. So I already prepared the folder. Let's make it a little bigger so you can see what's going on. And create our application. We're going to take Cloudflare workers. There's a difference between Cloudflare pages and workers. We're just going to use workers. I would have to look up the exact differences, but I've done it before, and workers is definitely the way to go. Yes, please install them. We're going to use bun. Okay, great. Here we go. Then let's also make it a Git repo and say, okay, cool. Let's check out what we have. So first we have this Wrangler TOML file, and that's going to be used by Cloudflare. As you can see, you can add like your own variables in here, similar to env variables, and you can connect to other Cloudflare worker services. So for example, the key value store, R2 bucket, which is similar to a S3 bucket, I think. So like for file storage, and the D1 database. So this is definitely something we're going to use, and we're probably going to set up in this video. Here in the index file, it just created our app. And then, as you can see, it uses the Wrangler CLI tool, which allows you, for example, to set up a local version of your database and then push changes to the real one. Yeah, preview your app in the way it's going to be run on Cloudflare. Clear that shit and just run dev and see what happens. So if we go here, we can see the endpoint works. It responds with hello Hono. What do we do next? Let's just set up HTMX and like the basic stuff, and then do the database. And I think then we're already in a good spot to like go fully into it, bring the AI and so on in the next video. Let me explain another reason why I really like Hono, because it supports JSX files. So yeah, you can build your React style components and then serve them over your server and use HTMX to create a cool UI. Like you see here, we can have this component, and then in the route, we can serve that component with the Hono HTML command. And you can also have like these suspend stuff, and you can even run JavaScript code, I think, in the front end, but I don't know if we really need it here. And I think we can also just write ourselves a little interaction whenever we need it, or we can intercept some HTMX stuff if we need like more stuff on the front end. Let's don't worry about it. Yeah, you can read here like client components. I think it's something similar to Preact. Let's just not worry about it. I think the component-based approach with HTMX and like the server rendered environment is really nice developer experience. Also with Drizzle, you will see it. I promise you. Yeah, let's use this renderer middleware to create a layout around our app that is going to be used in every component. So this is great for like the head to import HTMX and do a little bit of styling. Also about the styling point, maybe we're going to add Tailwind in later, or maybe another lightweight CSS thing. Let's see. But for now, just keep it simple, and then in the end we can see how we style things. To get started using JSX, we have to add this into our tsconfig, but it's already in there, so no problem here. Let's continue with the layout. Okay, yeah, we had to fix it here because we're gonna use this JSX renderer component, and then let's just call it layout renderer. And here we have access to the children. Let's just add a title and HTMX, grab the script, put it here. Now HTMX works. Let's put the children inside the body, and let's leave it as like that for now. And configure the app to use our layout renderer like that. And later on, we'll probably define different routes, and then we could have different renderer for different routes. So if we maybe have like a dashboard, we could include like a sidebar into it, or yeah, let's see where it goes. So if we test again, now instead of the text, oh yeah, exactly. And then to use it, we have to use render here, and then we can now just put a text in there. So now it's as we can see here inside our HTML document, it has the title, and we could even, instead of using text here, we could use HTML syntax, but to have that working, we would have to make it a TSX file and then put something in here. Oh yeah, then it's complaining because in the Wrangler toml it needs to be TSX. We changed the name of the file, and as we can see, now it works. Let's build our Drizzle integration. Yeah, in the SQLite part, we're gonna search for the Drizzle and Cloudflare D1 integration. And let's just set that up. Okay, next we have to set up our database. To get access to our database, we have to create this binding here and then set the binding inside our Hono app, and then we get access to the database from our Hono context. So we could do something like that, and we have access to our database. But there's still some more setup steps to do. So next I created this Drizzle config file, and it just helps with Drizzle kit. So later when we want to do database migrations and so on, it knows the dialect, where to find the schema, and where to put our migration files. As you can see here, I set the schema to source schema ts, so let's create that. Oh, and I made an error. Obviously the Drizzle config needs to be here, not in the source folder, but like in the... Let's create like a waitlist functionality so people can put in their email, click on add to waitlist, and we add them to the waitlist. And then, yeah, I think that's a good first start. Yeah, we created the first schema. We're just gonna call it waitlist. It will have an ID of type integer. It's gonna be an auto increment. It's gonna be the primary key and an email. And I set like a unique constraint, so you cannot add unlimited emails in there. And it gives us types, so we can also export waitlist type, insert, and a get type. And I think the insert type doesn't have the ID, and the get type has the ID and all the other fields. So as you can see here, we can export the type waitlist insert, and it's going to be type of waitlist, and then in for insert. This one needs to be not null, so we enforce it. And now you can see the email needs to be string, and the ID doesn't need to exist. But if we have the infer select type, you can see here the ID now is necessary. So that's very nice to have like access to all these types and so on. And also Drizzle super lightweight and supported on Cloudflare Workers. That's always something you have to keep in mind. Next, let's add the functionality or like the front end, and then hook up all the database related stuff and actually test it out. I'm thinking how to organize it. Let's for now keep everything in components, but maybe later on we can kind of split it out and have something like pages, for example, and then kind of like UI components, but see where it goes. Yeah, I'm always a big fan of like trying out. I think it's kind of impossible to think of everything ahead. So my approach is to just jump into the code and figure stuff out on the way. And then once we have, let's say a V1, so after we're done, for example, with like this MVP for our series, then would be the appropriate time to kind of look back and see what are potential issues that could come up, or maybe we already have customers, so what are issues that have actually come up, and then fix them. And even think about if we just have the MVP. Yeah, if you have the MVP and let's say you get like 200 users and you validated your idea, then to say, okay, now is the time to really think about where we want to go, and maybe even throw away the old MVP, or yeah, really think about like all these things. But in the position we are in right now, I think it's the best way to just jump in, just start coding, get something out there, get people in front of it, see where it goes, because we might want to change something. So I said, for example, in the beginning, I'm thinking about some kind of credit system, but maybe people prefer subscriptions, maybe people don't want to pay for it. We have to think about like alternative ways to monetize it. Maybe nobody wants to use it and we can just scrap it. But yeah, that's my philosophy. Let's just jump in and make things happen and see where it goes from there. So, after this really long rant, let's get back into coding and maybe create like a kind of landing page and then form component inside that landing page where you can add your email address. I created our landing page, with some awesome copy. People definitely gonna definitely gonna join it if they see that. And our form, for now it has like just the input and the submit. Maybe we could add a label. Let's just add a placeholder. Let's add the placeholder mark@meta.com so people think we're super legit. Even Mark Zuckerberg already registered. I don't know. Yeah, also I think it's important to have fun, so just add like little jokes when you're prototyping, when you're building. Just make sure to scrap them out afterwards, but it's important that you have fun while building. That's like the number one thing. Otherwise you're never going to finish it. You never get there where you want to be. Okay, let's add that to our index page. Render out our landing page. Yeah, let's create our database first and let's hope it works then. So we're just gonna make create. Okay, and it created our database. It shows us what we need to put into the toml. So now it has access to the proper database. Let's see if it works. Yeah, super strange. There seems to be some issue with like Wrangler and bun or whatever, because when I run it, the command with dlx pnpm instead of bun, it works. As you can see, now it works. Yeah, kind of annoying. I'm gonna dig a little bit into it, what's happening there, where it's coming from. Maybe we could roll back Wrangler to an older version. Never happened to me before. Yeah, I'm here trying to tell you the great developer experience and this shit happens, but it is what it is, guys. At least we got it working now. So here we can join the waitlist and it should have some client-side validation because it should be an email. That works. Okay, now it's time to put HTMX into the mix. If you have never used HTMX before, the way it works is that you add these properties to your HTML tags and they translate into certain JavaScript actions. So for example, if we add the hx post to this form, then on submit, it knows to make a post request to whatever URL we put in here. So it will make a post request to this URL and then we can respond to these requests, can be get, can be post, also like delete and options and put. We can return with HTML and then we can use another HTMX tag to define like what part of the UI should be swapped. That's also why I added this ID, because in this way we can target certain parts of the interface to be swapped. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's check the network tab. And as you can see, it says a not found, but as you can see, it makes a request to /join waitlist, a post request, right? Let's build it here. We create this post endpoint and I think it needs a slash in the start. And first we want to get the form data. To use it, we have to give that a name. So let's just call it email. Try to get it from here. And now we can do some validation. If there's no email, we ideally want to display like a little error field, maybe with a red text or red background that says there was no email provided. And the way we do it, let's give this one a couple of props. If we give it an email, we can already pass this one, the email as a value, and you're going to see in a second why. And then let's do it like this. Just write some inline CSS to show the error, if there is one. And then if we don't have an email, we want to return the form, but we want to add the error that says no email found. And here we have to use HTML, because if we would use render again, we would render the full layout, so we would get like the body tags and the head tags and all that stuff that we don't need. And we'll give it an error that says something like that. And in the happy path, let's just return something. And also to test it, let's disable the type. There's no checks. And as you can see, if we click join waitlist, it says please set your email. But okay, as you can see now, it sets it multiple times. And if we inspect the thing here, we can see it like adds the new div into the form. So we have like a lot of forms and like divs with the ID. And the way we fix it is that we set here the hx target, to hashtag on the, I think it's hx swap. Let me quickly check in the documentations. Outer HTML. So that means we target this div and then we swap out the full div with whatever the response is. So let's try again. And as you can see now, it only has like one waitlist wrapper and this one gets swapped. Okay, cool. And then if we add something, it says done. But we want to do two things. We want to add a server-side validation for that it's actually an email. We do it with the front end, but you have to be secure. You cannot rely on front end validation because people can abuse it. People can send requests directly to your endpoints. So let's do that next. Yeah, how do we check if it's an email? Let's just use Zod, I think. I actually had a problem like a year ago or something with Zod because there was like some obscure domain and I used the Zod email validator and it didn't work with that particular email. So some client was like complaining they couldn't do something, but that's like the issues you run into in production, and that's something to worry on about later. Yeah, for now let's check if the Zod works on the edge, and then if it does, add it in here so we can do some validation. And we can use that also later, and it could come in handy to validate our request data. Yeah, I mean, whatever, let's just install it and see. I think otherwise, I hope the Wrangler SDK will scream at us. So, sweet. I'm not sure because what's the difference between parse and save parse? Because one will throw an error, I think, and the other one won't throw an error. We just need to know which one is which so we can catch the error or, handle it. Yeah, exactly. So parsing throws the error and save parse doesn't throw an error, but it gives us an object with a success and the data. So if we're not successful, so if there's an error, let's return HTML list. And this time we will have the email. And this is why I added the email. So we will return the email. So let's say you make a little error and it pops up the error. Like the field doesn't get cleared out, but it already has like your old invalid input in it. So it's just a little nicer for the user. Yeah, that shouldn't be a string. That should be a string. In theory, the form data could also be a file. Let's test again. Refresh. it says invalid email. But as you can see, it keeps our old input in there. And now if we say add, okay, yeah, if we are successful, we can say email equals data, right? Yeah. And then want to save the email, and there could be an error because the email needs to be unique. So if the email is already in there, we get the error. We want to display that to the client, and if not, we want to save it to the database. And then for the end, let's make like another like an admin area, whatever, where we can see all the emails. And I think then we're on a really good in a really good position. Everything is set up, we have the database set up, and then we can start with the interesting part, with the AI part. Okay, and here now comes in the Drizzle magic. I think if there's an error, it will probably throw, so let's just add a try catch. Oops. And oops. So we get our database, and then we can say our result is, so this is the syntax. We say db insert waitlist, and then we can create the value, and the email, oops, it's gonna be the email. That's already it. Let's see, the result will be nothing. I don't know. Let's just assume everything worked out. And then we can maybe say not done, but let's just log the error, oops, for now. And yeah, we could like look for different errors. So maybe there's an issue with the database, but for now, let's just assume if our insert fails and throws the error, we're gonna see if that actually happens. We're just gonna assume that it was because the constraint was invalid, and just yeah, return like. Okay, cool. Let's see. So this one is invalid. Let's okay, we have an error. Oh yeah, we didn't. I think the row doesn't exist, right? So we didn't we didn't even connect the database, man. Let's see. Okay, we get the error. No such table. Exactly, because we have to run our migration file first. Yeah, so it's Wrangler D1 execute the name, local, and the file. Oh man. Micro, not Mirko. Now, finally. Let's see again. It worked. Awesome. Market meta added to waitlist. And then if we reload, try again, email already exists. And if we say Tom added to whitelist. Awesome. And if we do something that isn't an email, it says invalid email. Sweet. Very, very nice. So finally, let's add like our admin dashboard where we can see a list of all the emails. And I think then, yeah, then we're good for today. And in the next video, we're going to do the exciting stuff. We're going to do the AI stuff of styling. I don't know, SEO. Let's see. If you have anything that you want to know, leave it in the comments. Super open. Also, if you know somebody who would like to use a program like that, yeah, maybe we can actually launch something here. Maybe it's not just entertainment. Maybe I'm gonna be a fucking millionaire. I doubt it, but let's see. Yeah, we create our GET request to admin. Let's get all our emails from the waitlist, put them into a nice little table, and show them. And yeah, I'm gonna show you one more trick for even snappier, like even better UI with HTMX. Let's create another component. And now, as you can see here, we can use the types from our schema and yeah, to get the type of our items into the database. Really cool. And let's just return the table. And now I have to check out I think it's something like HR, no. Yeah, TR and then TH and TD, okay. Okay, that's it. And return C. And now we want to use render again because we want the body and all the HTML tags. Call it admin dashboard. Yeah, items is the waitlist res. Let's check it out. Awesome. And now to the little tiny trick at the end, little extra sauce. Now it's really fast, and like the premise of using Cloudflare workers is also that it's really fast, but let's imagine could be a little slower. Like let's just put like a 5-second timeout here to simulate like some slower process, or yeah, maybe it's not just one database call, but multiple database calls, other services, like I don't know, if we would use like some third-party stuff. So stuff can take longer, and then if we check it out here, now it will like load our page 5 seconds, which obviously is a little, like, it's not that beautiful. Ideally, we would want like some kind of loading spinner here. So inside our admin dashboard, what we would do, create a new component, put everything into this waitlist component, and then inside here, we would return div. Let's add like a dashboard. And then instead of loading the waitlist here, we would create a new div here and use HTMX to fetch the waitlist from like another endpoint. So we're going to create the waitlist endpoint, and then we're going to use the HX trigger. Standard, if you just create like a get on a div or a post or whatever, it will be triggered on the click. But we can define our own trigger, and in this way we're just going to do the load trigger. So what's going to happen is it's going to return this HTML, and as soon as this HTML is loaded in, it's going to make a second request and going to get our waitlist, and then the longer process will load. Once that's done, it will swap out like this loading with the table for the waitlist. And I think also by default the outer HTML of the item that fetches it will be swapped, so we're going to double check it, but I think we don't need any extra targets here. Now it will complain because we don't need these waitlist items here, but we need a new function or a new endpoint. I think I called it waitlist. Oops. We can get rid of all of that. We don't need it anymore. And here we will return the HTML of the, just call it waitlist, right? Waitlist items will be the waitlist res. Now if we go on our page here, it says admin dashboard loading, and after 5 seconds it should swap in our table, right? And if we look here, okay, so it seems like it uses inner HTML, so it will swap it inside, but in this case we want to swap it outside. So here, let's say, and let's also reduce maybe the time here to 2 seconds. Okay, and now you can see, well, probably you can't see because it's super small, but trust me, the div is gone and we just have the table here. Cool. Obviously, this one is pretty fast, so if I remove the loading, you know, you have like this kind of jitter thing here, so that's not great. So we could move it back into it. It's, you know, always considerations. Do I want to have like a loading spinner in case it takes longer, or do I, you know, don't want this flickering thing? Another way could be to make it like always load at least like 1 second, just so to have like a more consistent UI. I mean, ideally you don't want it to be loading, but yeah, it was just something I wanted to show you, like a cool trick with HTMX. Let's try it one more time. Maybe my address, you know, my meta address. Okay, I was added to the waitlist, and now if we go to the admin, I'm also there. This is gonna be everything for today. I'm gonna record the next video as soon as possible, maybe tomorrow. Probably not gonna be hungover, but maybe on Sunday or whenever. And please leave me a comment. Maybe you have some more ideas. Maybe, for example, for the CSS styling, there are a couple of things I would like to try out. So I think there's like Mantine or something called like this. Yeah, like Mantine that has like components. Or we could use Tailwind, obviously. I'm also open to something else, maybe something super lightweight. It would fit like in the theme of the MVP, fast launch, easy to use technology, not so overblown, right? Like otherwise we could just do like a Next.js thing with Shetzian UI, but I want to keep this one a little bit cleaner, a little bit, you know, leaner, faster moving. So if you know like a cool or a nice CSS component library, put them in the comments. Or if you have any other idea, anything you want to add, maybe some functionality you would want to see in this SaaS application, or even if you like work in sales, know somebody who works in sales, pitch them the idea, get their feedback if they would like it. And yeah, see you in the next video, and it's gonna be awesome. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.